Hey, welcome to Keight Krafts. I'm Keight. Today I would like to share with you a St. Patrick's Day inspired card. Let's get started. Off camera, I've gone ahead and cut out the garden gnome from Fawn out of some Bristol Smooth cardstock because I'm going to be doing a little bit of Copic coloring. Now, I could have gone and cut all of this out of the colors that I wanted of the paper that I had, but figured I'd just take my hand at coloring it all in. Now, I'm not too versed with the paper piecing projects, as they kind of scare me, I guess. I don't know, I just never think to really use them, as I prefer coloring on stamped images, I guess. They're more like a coloring book to me, like adult coloring books kind of thing. But I get to design the scene with them. I don't know how to explain it. So anyway, the paper piecing bits kind of are something that I'm not too schooled in, and I haven't done too many of them. And actually my first experience with them was with a digital cutout that I did on the Cricut, and that footage, I think, has long been lost, which was kind of sad because I actually sent it to a friend of mine after I had made one and after I'd actually made the second one. And yeah, I don't know, maybe one day I will revisit the world of Cricut and cutting out and paper piecing and coloring and whatnot. So I think it's kind of neat. I never know quite how to incorporate them into my scenes, but I do try, and this was a little bit different of a card for me. I'll explain more in a little bit, but it was more or less I had to reverse engineer a card. Or basically think of the card in the process of backwards, because usually you build your scene by stamping out images and coloring them and placing them out on your 5.5 by 4.25 real estate, and then once you've glued everything down, then you add in your embellishments like sequins or pearl drops or just Nouveau drops or whatever stickles you have. And that brings us back around to what inspired this card. You see, High Supply is holding a contest that runs between February 11th, 2023 and March 8th of 2023. And it's St. Patrick's Day inspired. I'll make sure to leave the link to the contest in the description box below so you could read all about High Supply's newest contest, which I thought was kind of neat. I participated in a contest last year that they held, and I had actually won a bunch of their sequins and jewels and gems and pearls and whatnot, and I was quite thrilled because I had already had some of their products prior to that, which I enjoyed using, and I've probably got enough sequins and jewels and gems and whatnot to last me a long time. So yeah, that was the whole inspiration for this card, was the contest, which sometimes I have a hard time getting off my keister and actually participating in contests and stuff because I don't have a lot of time between work and having to sustain a comfortable means of life, as in food and, personal care and whatnot. So sometimes I find that I have very little time, especially over the weekends, to sit and craft anymore, as the weather gets a lot nicer and people become a little bit more social. So I'm hoping that I can still maintain my momentum with at least 2 videos a week. I know over the holidays it was a little difficult for me, and with some recent changes in my life, it's been a little bit of a struggle. But I don't know, that this is kind of my happy place, so I tend to, I aim to keep it into my happy place, and, as I grow, try new things like paper piecing. Which, in the end, when this card all came together, I was kind of pleased with how it turned out. I do like the effect that the paper piecing gave, the way it was colored with the black border around it and stuff. And yeah, I might try some more. I do have a couple more of the Lawn Fawn die cuts like this. I forget which ones I have offhand. I think I've got the fox and I've got the wagon coming. I mean, after this card, I thought I would get the little wagon with the pumpkins because I think that one will be nice and neat to use, you know, not just with the pumpkins. You could probably cut those off, but here's the next bit of the card, which I thought would be kind of interesting. I wanted to do the leprechauns and fairies. I was looking up, like, Irish folklore and, you know, trying to rack my brain on how I was going to incorporate high supply products into my card. Now, I do have a lot of washi tape and a lot of washi paper, but those have more of an oriental theme than an Irish theme, so I was kind of stumped, and I thought, well, what do I have in Lawn Fawn supply, because they take up a lot of my storage real estate. If you haven't, you know, been able to determine that from my channel, I do love Lawn Fawn, and I do love their products. So when I was looking through my big binder of what does Keight have in her stash, I ended up coming across the fairies and the recently purchased gnome, and I figured the gnome would probably pass as a leprechaun. Now, I probably could have doctored him up a little bit more, but I thought with these fairies, I would cut out their wings, and that's exactly what I did. I went around the black lines as best as I could and cut them out, and I actually did this about 4 times. 5 times, to be honest. The first 3 I really screwed up. And then the next 2, I think I did alright. And then I ended up going back again and making this one. So all I'm doing here is I've taken the die for the fairy and I've cut out a piece of Lawn Fawn's Pearlescent Vellum. And just to give you guys a bit of comparison, here is the Pearlescent Vellum, here is some regular vellum, and then here is a shimmer cardstock, which you can't really see in the camera. But they all look really pretty. So next up, we are going to take the outside in stitched rectangle die that I've done off camera with some Spiffy Speckles paper from the paper pad. I believe this one's called Robin's Nest, or Robin's Egg. No, it's called Robin's Egg, sorry. And I've taken some tumbled glass to go around the edges, and then here we have some all the dots, and this is Kiwi Fizz, I think, with some Mowed Lawn. And now I'm going to take the Lawn Fawn glue, and I'm going to glue down the grass to our card panel here. And make sure everybody's going to be stuck down nice and sticky, because I wasn't exactly sure how I was going to map this out just yet. So I'm just taking some bricks and giving it a little pressure, and then off camera I've gone ahead and cut and colored out the cauldron from Purrfectly Wicked using some C markers. I'll make sure to leave a list of all the Copic markers that I've used in this. And then I'm going to add some foam tape to the back. So I'm not sure if you could see where I'm going here with this, but we are going to use the gold pearls from H.A.I Supply, and we're going to pretend that they are little doubloons or coins. I think they'd be coins. Doubloons would be more pirate, and coins would be more of the leprechaun variety. Yeah, I'm getting my currencies mixed up. I apologize. So I've added a little foam tape to the back of the cauldron, and I'm going to add a little bit of glue to the back side of our gnome, and I'll glue him down here, and then he's got 2 of his little fairy friends there that we're going to just kind of leave there for a minute. And then we're going to take a little bit of this white jelly roll pen and clean up my edges because I did have a little bit of bleeding. Now this jewel picker that I have is from the big bag of jewels that I won from H.A.I Supply. It doesn't have their brand name on it, and I'm not sure that they have it on their website, but I rather like it. It's got a pokey tool on one side and a little gem picker on the other. And all I'm doing here is picking them up and figuring out if they'll fit underneath there. And then I've added a layer of glue just to the underneath the rim of the cauldron, and all I'm doing is pushing in the little gold pearls into the glue mess. So if you can kind of understand my madness here, I'm just basically creating a pile of gold nuggets or coins or whatever you want these little gold baubles to be into our little happy pot of gold with our leprechaun and our little fairies. Now, I didn't have a rainbow. I mean, I could have cut out a rainbow, but I didn't have any rainbows. I looked at other stencils that I might have had that I could have used, and I didn't see one in my stash that I thought would fit properly, so I didn't want to overdo with the scene. I wanted the focus to be on the high supply product, and what better way to do so than to over embellish my card with them. I don't think I've used this many gems on a card outside of, say, a shaker card. And yeah, this was quite the challenge to make sure that I have enough glue on there that wasn't going to overpower, that you could still see. And all I'm doing here is gluing down the fairies, but careful not to put glue on the vellum because you'll be able to see that. And just gluing them down like they're hanging out above the pot of gold. And maybe they're actually just gathering them up and dropping them in for the leprechaun, and maybe they spilt somewhere, or somebody tried to steal the little pot of gold and they chased them off, and now they're trying to put all the little gold pieces back into the pot. Sure, we're gonna go with that story. So once I've put all the gold pieces in, we're gonna have a little bit around the bottom of the pot here, because you know, sometimes when you're flying above a pot of gold and you're trying to drop them in, you might miss. I know I would probably miss because sometimes I can be rather clumsy. So once I'm happy with the amount of little gold coins scattered around the base of the pot, I'm going to give our little leprechaun one too, so he can contribute to the pile. And after I've put on a sentiment, that concludes my card. And as always, thanks for hanging out with me today. Take care.